Welcome to the next 31 lessons in 31 days that is spanning more than 31 days. What I decided to do is do a vlog type of situation because so many things have happened since the last time I did one of these. My youngest son, who you see me putting in his car seat right now, I forget where we were going, but he had an extended stay in the ICU. Literally, I forget what number I stopped on Outlook when I put this up, but the last three I put up, I actually recorded right before he went into the ICU. And he's okay now. We figured out what was wrong, adjusted literally our whole entire lives, had to pull him out of daycare. Just a mess, okay? It's a mess. And I promise all this is going into the lesson that I'm going to talk about today. But also, since we couldn't have him in daycare anymore, I'm actually interviewing some in-home nannies because I still have to run my multiple businesses. And with that, we needed more space. So we got a new house. So we've ever moved, the craziness that goes with that. And so we also decided, my husband and I decided to get a house that could house my office for my businesses. So that was fun, trying to find a house that could do all that, but we found one and I absolutely love it. And by the time you hear this, probably it'll be like 2 days before we get the keys to the house. So I'm super excited about that. So we had to, life happened, and that's really the lesson for today, that it's okay that your plans don't go as planned. Thank God for parents who are retired. My mom had texted me and asked if I needed her to watch my youngest for me, because like I just said, we had to pull him out of daycare. So he goes to my parents' house, our house, and his godparents' house, and that's it. So it's okay if your plans change. I was so excited about being able to sit in front of the camera and talk interview style and do the set design. Even though it was simple, I loved it. And do like actual finished production work, if that makes any sense, for myself. And I was so excited about it. A lot of those videos I batch recorded. I don't know if I said that in the video or not. I was so excited and I batch recorded, and it was so great and it was going great. And I was like, yes, I'm going to be consistent with YouTube and it's going to be great. I even I got a couple of subscribers. It wasn't that many, but it was still like, yes, this is what I know I could do if I'm consistent with this. And then boom, baby got sick. And literally had to stop my life, because what was I going to do? My kid was in the ICU. So I just couldn't think about this. As much as I wanted to, as many plans as I had, I still have the notebook where I had all the ideas of the things I wanted to talk about. But even as now, I am kind of having time to pick this back up, which I committed to myself. I was going to do this and I'm just going to finish it. So I'm going to finish this, even though it's going to take me more than 31 days, right? But I'm just like, the topics that I have written down just don't apply anymore. I mean, they do, but they don't, right? My whole life changed when my 2-year-old had to go into ICU. Plans are going to change. They just are. Like, that's just part of parenting. Your plans are going to change. And so they did. And my life, and not to discredit my husband or my oldest son, because all of our lives had to adjust. But since I run, you see me, I'm actually at my dad's church right now. I'm the media administrator. They were having a weekend of some workshops, and they wanted to be live streamed, and it wasn't in the sanctuary, but in a different part of the church. So I'm adjusting, like moving cameras and, rehooking audio equipment. But I do this for my dad's church. I'm here a couple days a week, so I consider it a job, because it is. I'm doing what I do just for my dad's church, but I also have a body butter business, and I have a full-on production company. So it's like, because I'm the one that has the more flexible schedule, I had to shift quicker and differently. I don't want to say more, but differently than everybody else did. And I was exhausted. I was mentally exhausted. My son had been sick for almost a week before we ended up having to go to the hospital. He was in a hospital for over a week. And so it was like 2 weeks surviving off of coffee and adrenaline wears on you. And then knowing after that your life has to be different, like immediately. We pulled him out of daycare before he got out of the ICU. Like, the doctor literally was like, straight up, he cannot go back. And so, getting out and looking at my calendar, realizing not just the series that I was doing, but everything else on my calendar that I had to do, I had to reschedule. Like, I had to reschedule, because how am I going to do all this with a 2-year-old? And even after we got out of the ICU, there was still another week where he was still recovering. Because if you've ever been in a hospital, if you've ever had somebody who loved being in a hospital, when they get out, they're not 100%. More often than not, they are not 100%. And this was the case for my son. So that was 3 weeks. 3 weeks, my life was literally upside down. And actually more than that, because even after the week where we got him like stable on his medicines, because of course he had multiple medicines when we got out, then it was like, okay, I need to redo my schedule. Because at that point, I just paused, canceled, rescheduled, gave it to another producer, like everything on my schedule. Because I was like, I don't know when I'm going to be able to pick everything back up. Because I realized that I have to have my kid with me now 24/7. Or at least, during the day, 5 days a week. And my husband's working, my oldest is at school. I mean, in the clip before, you see me drop my kid off to my parents, but even though they're retired, they're like play retired. They got a million things that they're doing. So it's like, I have to operate as if I have no help almost. And so I had to give away everything and still function. So that was like a month. I was like, there's no way I have time for this series that I want to finish, but I just don't have time for it. And I felt like I let myself down because I couldn't finish it, even though I know that I had a legitimate reason for not continuing on the path of the plan that I originally had for this 31 lessons in 31 days series. My kid was in the ICU. He had to recover. Like, those are legitimate reasons. I mean, and it doesn't even have to be that serious. It could be something else that was a legitimate reason. But it's the fact that that was my reason and that was legitimate, and I still felt bad. So I had to remind myself that it's okay if my plans change. I can still hold myself to a standard to complete the projects that I have planned for myself. Just sometimes the timeline changes, and I'm just gonna have to be okay with that. And I'm gonna have to be okay with other people throwing a fit because my plans changed. And I'm on the phone with somebody I consider a big brother, but he really helped me talk through that, because I had some people who were like, where's this stuff? And da 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 da. And at first, when he first sick, I was still kind of doing some things. When he went into the ICU, I did send emails like, hey, going through something right now, everything is paused. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't really say anything. Once he got out, after the week, like a week and a half after he got out of the hospital, because he got out literally 2 days before Christmas. So then it's like, he got out. Oh, great. He's out. We spent Christmas with my parents because that's one of his bubble places. So we were able to go over there for Christmas. But it was just like, oh, we got to do Christmas stuff because we have another child, right? We got 2 kids. So it was like a week and a half that I circled back around with everybody. And I was just like, I can't do this. And I had some people that were not so nice about things. But the one thing that came out of that is I was able to resolve the situation and then get out of it, because I felt like I dodged a bullet. Because even after I tell you that, so sorry, I can't continue with this because, my child was in ICU. I don't have the capacity for this right now, but here are some, suggestions of people you can work with. If you don't understand where I'm coming from after I tell you all of that, then you're not somebody that I want to work with. You're just not. And there were a couple of people who were waiting for me to get back with them because they wanted to work with me. We hadn't started the project yet. And so like I was already tight and had been tight on my COVID procedures for stuff, but I reiterated it again. It was like, I am not playing. My child is immune compromised, cannot do this. Had some people decide not to work with me because of that. And I just have to trust that I dodged a bullet. Because if I tell you that I have a high-risk child, so if you want to work with me, you have to wear your mask when you come in. You have to wear your mask when you're not being recorded. We cannot have a million people in front of the camera. We have to be, socially distanced, which I have all the equipment to make it look like I was up in your face, but not really be up in your face. So if you're going to have an issue with all that, then yeah, it's better if I don't work with you. But it was disheartening. I'm not going to lie, because I hate having to redo my plans in the first place. But I just had to learn and be okay with the fact that it is okay to have to change my plans. I am learning so much about myself throughout this process of having to be okay with changing my plans. I'm such a planner. I'm so much like, it needs to be on my calendar. I gotta make sure I have enough time to work it out, do it. I need the time to do it to the best of my ability. Like, I am so that person. And I just want to learn to be okay with being okay if things change. And it's so funny because in certain areas of my life, I am so great with change. In certain areas, I am not. But I have to learn that I can still operate at the highest, what I consider my highest level of excellence of performance, even if my plans change. And the fact that the way the world is now, it ain't gonna get no better. Stuff is gonna keep changing every day. It's gonna keep changing. Even if the pandemic goes away, just the way that we all function now, the way the world functions now, things are going to change every day. And I have to learn to control what I can control and to roll with the punches with things that I can't. That it is okay to still plan, to still have a plan, to still schedule things, but to be okay with changing. Not only when it's my decision to change the plans, but when things outside of my control change my plans. It's a lesson that I'm learning, but I'm learning it better every day. And I know that it's just going to result in me living and operating and functioning better with a more clear head, with less stress, less anxiety, and more productivity. That's just what I know. So it's okay. It's okay if your plans have to change. It's okay.